Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to this live webinar about platforms in practice. I'm Steven Tilkin, Director at Bryden, and with me is Jaimie Johnston, Head of Global Systems and Board Director at Bryden. Welcome to this first webinar that we're doing. So we are still sort of getting used to it. So hopefully it's interesting and hopefully we have a stimulating conversation afterwards. So what we'll do now is we play the pre-recorded video. Feel free to type in questions as we go along, and then we'll deal with your questions straight after the 10-minute video. And we'll see you then there. See you in 10 minutes.
Welcome to our Platforms in Practice webinar. I'm Steven Tilkin, a director at Bryden. Platform 2 is a product platform designed to unlock the benefits of manufacturing through economies of scale and scope to transform the construction industry to the benefit of clients, users, the industry itself, and society. It is based on Bryden more than 25 years of experience in design for manufacture and assembly. The construction industry needs to be fundamentally transformed. It has a very poor productivity record because every building is treated as a unique project. To be able to address climate change and build the necessary social infrastructure, while the population ages and the skills gap increases, we need to transform it to become more like manufacturing so that it can produce high-quality products that are better for the environment. It also needs to be transformed in such a way that it delivers human and social value for all involved and the wider society. To get these better economic, environmental, and social outcomes from the construction industry, we need to aggregate demand to achieve the necessary economies of scale. More standardization is required. Society's building and infrastructure requirements need to be analyzed to find commonalities and similarities, and then be harmonized and rationalized in such a way that allows us to come up with an optimized quantity of standardized components that are simple to produce and put together, but can be configured and combined with other systems to deliver the customer requirements for a wide variety of buildings across various sectors. Analysis has shown there's a real opportunity to deliver 70% of the government's £15 billion portfolio this way. The government has committed using its buying power to drive adoption of this platform approach. The Construction Innovation Hub issued guidance on how to create such a product platform and what characteristics it needs to have to be successful. Through well-designed, versatile components that can deliver a wide variety of buildings for a wide variety of clients, we can improve quality, productivity, cost and schedule. The greatest scale of benefits is enabled by developing a product platform that harmonizes features of the superstructure, such as structural grids, beams, columns, connectors and slabs across different sectors. Key aspects of assets, like facade and fit-out, can all be incorporated into the approach, and a repeatable grid, common dimensions and standardized interfaces make it easier to install pre-manufactured MEP, fit-out and facade components into the platform carrier frame. The production of these components and their assembly can then be optimized to leverage benefits. Bryden followed a process in line with the Construction Innovation Hub's guidance to develop exactly such a product. This approach allows knowledge about design and construction to be captured in physical components that make up the product platform, but also in design configurators, manufacturing specifications, assembly manuals, and equipment. This means that procurement can change from expensively buying custom products and custom processes to one where clients buy manufactured components that can be configured automatically and more safely assembled by a lower skilled workforce using simpler, standardized processes. To have the leanest possible solution, we designed the platform in such a way that all commodities are handled the fewest number of times by the fewest number of people via the least number of processes. We focused on reduced handling and labor and using more manufactured content. We then standardized and automated manufacture assembly, and design processes where this can bring the right kinds of benefits. Together, all these innovations improved productivity and quality. They reduce cost, schedule, and carbon while providing better, safer jobs and more equal opportunities. We developed Platform 2 through analysis of the upcoming pipelines of the various building typologies. We analyzed their layout, their MEP requirements, and their overall dimensions. The result is an optimized and versatile structural system that provides standardized interfaces for a series of complementary technologies to do the fit-out, MEP, and cladding. Through its design, it provides a high-tolerance framework and enables productivity improvements in these complementary elements. Platform 2 is a hybrid solution that takes advantage of the particular characteristics of particular materials to achieve its objectives. Steel has high compressive strength, it is accurate, consistent, and can be erected swiftly using simple processes. It is relatively lightweight and lots of parts can be moved in a single vehicle movement. It is the ideal material for columns and connections. Concrete is good for compartmentation and acoustic separation and improved vibration behaviors. It is the ideal material for the structural build-off of the floors. The result is a system that consists of steel columns and complementary long-span beams and in-situ concrete floors. The columns and beams are bolted together. Concrete for the floors is pumped from below and robotically leveled. Knowledge about assembly processes is captured in equipment and temporary work systems. Reusable foam work tables and propping systems make it easy to assemble and create the concrete floor with factory-like efficiency. Different industry standard solutions for the fit-out, MEP, and facade complement the structural platform to provide a complete building. The system has been independently reviewed and checked. It is certified to BSI and UKCA standards. Certification is for the full factory control procedure, including procurement, processing, fabrication, storage, QA, and delivery, with documentation at every stage. Platform 2 can be configured to provide a range of different spans, heights, and layouts. The possible configurations are suitable to deliver residential buildings, hospitals, offices, and low-security prisons. Because of these innovations, productivity has proven to be 40% higher, resulting in program reductions of at least 25% and up to 55%. This, together with effective use of materials, drives down costs significantly. The reduction of amount of material used, the reduction of waste produced during construction, and the reduction of time and human resources spent in the delivery of the project result in a 22% reduction in embodied carbon. The way buildings are manufactured and assembled allows for a disaggregated supply chain, providing quality jobs and equal opportunities across the country. Because it's always the same components that are configured in standardized ways to create this wide range of building types, knowledge can be captured in digital component catalogs. Consequently, information about cost, schedule, and carbon is available and well understood from the outset. Because the components are combined using strict rules, most of the repetitive, non-creative aspects of design can be captured in digital design configurators. This allows architects to engage with various users and stakeholders in a much richer way from an earlier stage. Because components are identical across a wide range of building types and variations, the standardized processes to manufacture and assemble these components can be increasingly optimized and automated. This way, it becomes attractive to the supply chain to invest in innovations and benefit from the improvements they can bring. Platform 2 is a transformative product. It consists of a series of standardized physical components, standardized processes for manufacture and assembly, and a design configurator. It is a product platform as defined by the platform rulebook. Standardized elements that can be mass-produced and can be configured to deliver a wide variety of non-identical buildings in a wide variety of contexts for a wide variety of users. These interoperable elements have clear interfaces that can connect with existing systems. Through its lean design and flexibility, it is inherently sustainable, as the complementary systems can be changed throughout its lifetime and the structure reused to fulfill different architectural functions. Structured information about components and how to put them together is available for clients, their designers, and the supply chain. This reduces uncertainty, improves quality, and allows for continuous improvement, which will benefit many clients and many suppliers. Continuous further innovations will make it an even more attractive way for clients to deliver their building portfolios. Competition will drive the supply chain to come up with even more efficient ways of delivering this product platform. In short, Platform 2 is a major step in the realization of the government's vision to transform the construction industry to the benefit of all involved and wider society. Please join us now for LinkedIn live Q&A with me and Head of Global Systems, Jaimie Johnston.
We're back.
Hi, welcome back. I hope this video gave a good overview of our thinking about platforms and the rationale behind it, and how we started from the challenge that the government set and how we translated that into a platform in reality, hence the title Platforms in Practice. If you want to know more, you can go to our platform hub on our website and read the Platforms in Practice book, which sort of expands on all the things that we talked about in this video. And hopefully, you'll learn more and sort of see how it can be useful in your sort of professional practice. We'll go to questions now. Feel free to sort of keep on writing questions as we are talking. And we'll start with some of the questions we've got here. We've got one in the StreamYard chat, and we've got some additional questions in the private channel. The first one is about what are the biggest challenges for clients looking to adapt a P-DfMA approach? So, Jaimie, maybe if you want to...
Yeah, we get this question quite a lot, actually. It's quite a common question. I think, my view, we've proven, I think, the technical ability to do this. And for those who've been looking at some of our material, things like the Forge have demonstrated some of the massive benefits of doing this. To do the Forge, Landsec actually had to change some of their internal procurement processes, which they can do because they're a private sector organisation. I think the biggest challenge now is no longer the technical bits, it's all of the ecosystem that surrounds it. So it's the things around IP, warranties, procurement. So one of the issues we're seeing now is clients don't necessarily have frameworks or procurement mechanisms which are set up to buy things in this particular way. So the biggest benefit obviously comes from engaging the supply chain in a particular way. So my concern is there's a lag now between the technical capability to do this and the procurement frameworks and the things that need to happen to support this at scale. So it was about 6 years from when we wrote the first book on platforms to the Forge being handed over. I don't think we can wait another 6 years for the next Forge, let alone doing this at scale in the public sector. So we're hoping now that the kind of next focus of the industry is to say, all right, we understand the benefits. I think there's lots written about the benefits. The hub's done an awful lot to articulate the potential transformational impact of this, but it needs to happen at scale for things to really, move on.
Okay, good. We've got another question here about sort of the history behind all this, because at the beginning of the video, we mentioned our experience in DfMA. Someone is asking, so how did this come about? What did you do before? What was sort of the main learnings from DfMA, and how that then sort of changed into a platform approach, and what really is the difference, and what are the implications of going from DfMA to P-DfMA? Yeah, I'm going to ask questions.
Yeah, okay.
You're professional.
So we've been doing various forms of DfMA. So for those who haven't come across us, we were set up kind of 28 years ago now. We've been doing lots of different forms of DfMA. A lot of the principles around simplifying construction, de-skilling construction, using manufactured components, we're tested for lots of different clients in lots of different sectors And we were seeing actually that a lot of the value drivers across sectors and across clients were quite common. So it started us thinking that there was probably some learning from some clients that we could start to converge towards kind of more repeatable solutions. The big driver actually was the work we did for the prison estate transformation program back in 2016. We started doing that. So one aspect of that was to design a new type of prison that was more focused on rehabilitation. So Stephen led the stakeholder engagement, and we designed a new house block, for instance, that has no bars or windows, got rid of galleries. It was a much more conducive to rehabilitation, was one sort of outcome for that program. The other thing we started doing, MOJ wanted to design assets that lent themselves to a very high level of design for manufacturing assembly. And as we were developing solutions across the MOJ estate, we started saying, well, you also have not just house blocks, but education and offices and visitors and manufacturing facilities, like a load of other use cases which aren't your core driver. But if we did something that worked for education spaces, why wouldn't we apply that to DfE? So that started a conversation with Infrastructure Projects Authority, particularly saying, look, we're developing things for the justice estate, but if they're any use, they must have a broader application. And that started the conversation around developing systems that were not departmental specific or sector specific, but would have a wider application. That led to the first book on platforms, and the Infrastructure Projects Authority then picked that up. So they put out the call for evidence in 2017-18. The hub was then set up to bring those things to life, and then it's become increasingly sort of embedded in policy and strategy. But it was, I think there's something really interesting about the accumulation of all the knowledge we'd learned in the private sector. We were able to deploy for one department, and that then had kind of broader applications across all departments. And then, for instance, Landsec picked it up and also learned, built on that. So there's been a nice kind of public-private sector learning, which is how industry, I think should work.
Good. I've got some more questions here on the chat, but before we go to those questions, I've got like two more questions that I'm sort of going to deal with together. People are asking about like different uses as well, because we sort of gave an overview of the possible uses of this particular platform, and also something that's related to that, and that comes up very often in discussions with customers, that there is this sort of idea that, well, that's all very well for other people, but our projects are always like special and unique, and therefore that wouldn't work for us. So look, my answer to that would be is that first of all, it's an approach. What we've shown here is an approach to sort of getting benefits of scale, economies of scope, that is described in the Construction Innovation Hub guidance to develop platforms. So that thinking resonated very much with us, because we've, in a way, always been contributing to that thinking. And in that approach, what you do is you look at the variety of requirements that's out there and try and figure out what are the commonalities and what are the things that need to be different. And then you develop a strategy based on that. And that's part of the initial stakeholder engagement, so that you make sure that it is as customizable as it needs to be, but it is as standardizable as it needs to be to get the benefits of scale. And that's a very sort of dynamic early process. And that kind of approach can be applied again and again, sort of to different sectors or to different groups of projects. And if that's done well, you can always sort of get the right kind of customization for the different customers and user groups. Like another question that I'm going to give to you again, Jaimie. Apart from the MOJ prisons work, what is the next private public sector project post Landsec to Forge?
So I mentioned earlier, I think there's, I'm hopeful that we can get this moving very quickly, because I don't want to wait another 6 years. So the very next iteration of it, we actually tailored kept the overall principles of platform 2, but we actually did a version that used precast columns, for instance, rather than steel columns. So what we found was that steel plus fire protection, if you use high compressive concrete, you get to be nearly the same size. So We did a version of it for the new hospitals program that looked at how you would take the principles of it, change one of the components and make it more suitable for healthcare. So whether or not that gets deployed on the hospitals program, we, like everyone else, are sort of waiting to see what happens on that. The other version of it, we've had an awful lot of interest from the US, well, internationally generally, but US particularly, around taking this and deploying it for delivering housing, low-cost housing in the US. So there was a precursor to Platform 2 was actually developed for large-scale residential. So a lot of the thinking actually started in Resi, drifted into MOJ and out again. So I'm hopeful, we can't explain too much about it at the moment, but I'm hopeful that we'll be able to demonstrate deployment on helping address some of the housing issues that are happening in the US. I mean, it's happening globally. We've had lots of conversations with people around delivering this for Resi particularly, but the US is looks like a hot market, which I can imagine, again, it would be slightly frustrating. My sense is that we could end up deploying this internationally, potentially more quickly than we do in the UK, which would be a frustration for me that we've deployed a thing in the UK that we then end up actually scaling up elsewhere and bringing it back into the UK.
Thank you. I'm going to take 2 more questions together. One question is about what changes need to be made to the supply chain to make this a reality, and is long-term partnership agreement with suppliers an important factor for efficient platform development, and can such a platform work in a traditional contract model? So a very interesting question, because I think that's exactly what like it's all about now, and what the main challenges are, because we've been sort of developing a series of platform, and our engineering expertise and our experience in DfMA has led us to be able to develop technical solutions that work really well, that are efficient, that are integrated, and all these kinds of things. But to truly get the benefits of scale, you need to develop something that the suppliers are interested in, can make a good return on, and can build a profitable, long-term, reliable business on. So therefore, our focus now is more and more not so much on developing further and further the technical design, but really engaging with the supply chain very early on and making them part of the discussions to sort of see, like, look, we are thinking of doing it like that. We think this is a good way of giving that sort of variety for all these different customers, but we think it's sort of standardized in a way that would, create economies of scale. And then engage with them and sort of see whether they feel comfortable with delivering things like that, or whether they have like other suggestions that would make it more interesting for them to deliver, give them more opportunities to innovate, because we really want to enable the supply chain to contribute and to benefit from it, because the better we can do that, the better we can really transform the construction industry from one where you're sort of doing project after project to one that is much more like the manufacturing sector, like automotive, for example.
Yeah, just to build on that, our experience when we did the Forge was that big chunks of the supply chain are completely ready for this. So when the facade, for instance, the MEP, Swally Profit and NG Bailey, who manufacture and assemble those, we didn't have to do anything particularly different for them, but the fact that we had a very accurate superstructure carrier frame, we describe it as, enabled them to do what they would normally do much better, much more productively. So I think lots of the specialist trades, interior fit out is already largely systemized. There's lots of ceiling partition systems. MEP is very often prefabricated. Facade supply chain's been making unitized facades for decades. So there's big chunks of the supply chain that are completely ready for this. They're just waiting for the context in which to work. We deliberately designed Platform 2 to use completely standard components. So it uses completely standard steel sections. It uses the sacrificial downstands are a standard Tata product that is already industrialized. They make it by the mile. The brackets aren't particularly complicated. We're using concrete. So we deliberately designed Platform 2 to use standard components, standard products, standard commodities that are already readily available. All of the assembly processes are deliberately very simple, very straightforward. So the idea was it would completely lower the barrier to entry. So we don't need a huge factory. We don't need a massive capital cost to set up and manufacture these things. You could go and buy all these bits from existing suppliers tomorrow. So that was important to us to make it a thing that you could leverage tools, techniques, materials that are already used to just put together in a slightly different way. So the hope was that that would lower the barrier to entry and encourage more people to work in this way. So things like the brackets, you know, there are endless small fabrication shops all over the country that could make the bits. Tomorrow, everything else you can already buy. So the idea was that, yeah, we would enable existing people to do what they currently do, but just slightly better, in a slightly different way. There is a question on, can it work in a traditional contract model? Yes, it could do. You could do, you know, you could pick and choose certain parts of it. Landsec actually ran the Forge as a construction management project. I think there are better models. So IPD, integrated project delivery, which is not common in the UK. It's starting to get some traction in the US, where everyone's incentivized to do the best thing for the benefit of all parties, is a fantastic way of procuring this. So a lot of the benefit of the superstructure is felt by the MEP and facade supply chain, for instance. So there's not normally an incentive for the superstructure team to enable the following trades to do a better job. IPD encourages that. So there are definitely better procurement models to be had. And I think, again, going back to an earlier point, that's one of the things that we should be starting to focus on now.
Okay, thank you. We've come to the end of this first bite-sized webinar. I hope it's been informative. I encourage you all to go to the Platform Hub on our website again and download the book. It's a very interesting read and sort of builds on all these concepts.
It's a fantastic
and illustrates everything in much more detail what we've talked about here, like in the last half an hour. So thank you very much, and hope to see you again at our next bite-sized webinar.
Thanks for joining me. Thank you.